Now we're live. Let's take a look at the channel. Let's see, because the way I see myself is like a bit. I'm quite narrow in the video, but we'll see. Let me check. No, I'm quite good. Noise. Okay, so I start alone. It looks like it is a tradition that I start my streams alone, but it is what it is. I'm gonna show you quickly what we're gonna do today, and if you have any questions uh, or comments, I have a chat around here on the second screen. So let me know if the sound is not right, if you have a solution for the issue that um, I currently have or I'm fixing. So feel free to jump in. Alrighty. So to begin with, I'm gonna start sharing the screen and showing the um, showing what we gonna do today. Um, so just to begin with, okay, you should see my fancy screen now. I'm gonna make it bigger. And what I'm gonna do after that is I'm gonna bring you the wave, the design system. Okay, so we're not very well adaptive for the bigger screens, but this is more or less the screen size we usually use to see the documentation. So, and today we're gonna work with the component that is called input. Okay, I've just realized I don't have my view. So this input, what's wrong with it? So it is quite a regular one, I would say. Nothing very, very fancy with that. So what you can do is you can type things into it, and it is what it does. So there are a bunch of different options. There is an option which contains a placeholder, and those you can just set the label. And this is exactly what happened here. Look, okay, I don't have it here, but in the example, if I remove the placeholder, now you see we have this design where the label is shown inside the input until you add the value to the input. So the moment I click, it goes up, and then I can start typing. And when I leave the cursor, so you see, it stays on top. So if I remove the data from the input, you see that the label went down. And it works quite well, but as you see, this example contains the component that is called controlled input. So internally, we created this wrapper to show this example, and this is the recommended way. But Lena found an issue with that component. So the issue, which we will now see in the code sandbox. So if there is something, if you decide to use this wave design system and uncontrolled input, this where it starts to break. As you see, uh, the way we usually use it in our code is we use the stateful components. So meaning that we have something like, I don't know, input and set input. Uh, and here we do use state, uh, whatever, it's empty string. So let me add just to show you the example, React. And here, what we usually do is value equals to input. Uh, and of course, on change or on input, what we do is we read the event and we set event target value or whatever. Yeah, something like that should work. So now, maybe not value. Uh, text. No, it should be value. Maybe I'm wrong, but no. Yeah, I'm right. Everything is good. So as you see, this is how it works in our code. But if we decide to go uncontrolled, meaning that we do not use state at all to set the value, or sometimes we can set the value, but not setting the, yeah, let's set the value, for example, like that, like this. No, what's wrong? Okay, I'm just gonna refresh everything. Um, okay, I'm not gonna look for um, the issue. So here we go. What the hell? Um, Here we go. So in with the uncontrolled state, when you put some value inside and remove the focus, so you see this is the way uh, it works. So the label do not understand that it should be um, it should stay up. So and it goes down and they collapse. So that's the issue. That's the issue, and this is the what we're gonna tackle today. Hopefully, I think we will manage to do this in 1 hour, 1 hour and a half. If and at some point Lena will join us, and we can do the this together because she's the person who found it. So that's why um, I asked her to join, so she can not only report the bug but also fix it. Um, but while we're waiting, or not waiting, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start um, investigating what goes wrong. And I haven't been uh, I haven't touched a Wave for a while, so let's jump into everything that we need to do before we start fixing the issue. So, meaning update the project, update the dependencies, everything that we need to do in order to start. So, I'm closing uh, all my consoles and I'm bringing it here. So looks like we are up to date. So I'm not that behind. So, what we're gonna do? We're gonna go to Wave. I'm gonna make it bigger first. I hope you see it well. If you don't, please let me know. Um, so what we're gonna do in Wave? We're gonna do probably we're gonna need to npm install. Right. Doubt that. Yeah. Okay. Let's run it just in case. Um, and okay, unsupported tangent. Oof, quite a lot of things. So yeah, npm now um, has this peer dependence installs peer dependencies as a part of the npm install. Sometimes it leads to conflicts, and this is an example that we have at the moment. So in case you have a similar thing and your build crashes, not only with Wave, with some like maybe not the freshest project in the world, so you can do npm I and dash dash legacy peer deps. So uh, this maybe help you at some point. But the legacy peer deps, that means the npm install installs only dependencies and development dependencies that you have in the packages on, but not the peer dependencies. So this is the old behavior that you can opt in for a while until you fix everything. Okay, so I'm gonna create a new branch from main, of course, and I call it uncontrolled uncontrolled input fix. Um, I know that some people like to put the number of the issue, so that I don't know. I don't like it that much. So let's take a look how things work here. So let me increase the font a bit. Increase font. Why? Yeah, it used to be here in the actions. Okay, whatever. So here we go. Increase font size, and let's do this twice. Okay, should be way better now. So the input itself, it's quite surprisingly, I don't know, in my programming life, all the basic components usually are the most complex ones. So, and as you see, we do have quite a lot of things going on in the input folder. So, okay, we have tests. It's at least something good that we have. I'm not sure they cover this case. So that's what we want to somehow check. That would be maybe my first guess, first approach, how to get how to be sure that this thing is resolved. So first I would render, and then without any uh, passing any value, I can type into it and what I want to see. How can I check that this thing sits in the middle and not above? That's a tricky one. Uh, yeah, maybe the visual thing will help us first since we're doing. But yeah, so jumping into the implementation. So this is the main component that we export. So this is the input. And as you see, it's just a wrapper. So the wrapper that decides what to render. And it either renders password component is the type if the type of the input is password, and if not, um, then we render just an inner input. Uh, so let me remove this unicorn bot. Thank you, sir. Uh, so, um, and this inner input, this is where all the magic happens, or the real input is. And we have, I'm not sure if I don't think I said it out loud, but there are two variants of the input. So this one with more like a classic looking one, this is called the boxed input, and also have a bottom line input. This is the one. So it just one line a label above and the value. So, but they both have the issue, I bet. So let's take a look. If we say here variant bottom line, bottom line, see, we fill it, remove it, it goes on top. So it is the same. And I more or less know where it can be, because we had an assumption when we created this component that this component will only be used in this stateful, as a stateful thing, as a controlled component, controlled input. So that's why you see this is the main culprit where it happens. So we have a state variable, and the state variable contain the value, checks if the value exists, uh, and if it exists, we understand that, okay, this input has value, and then we start moving this label on top. So this is the flag that controls the state of the label, whether it's on in the input or it's above the input, being like a label as it should be. So I I doubt we need to really dive deeper, because so let's take a look at so this is this inner input. This is a bunch of like extracting props and all this stuff going on, but this is the thing where we didn't understand whether the value of the input exists or not, so whether the user typed something inside. uh, and then we pass it to the boxed input, or as you see here, we pass it to the boxed input, and in the line 60 we pass it to the bottom line input. So we're passing this value saying like, okay, the value, the component has some value, or there is no actually value, and there is boxed input. Yes, it's a bunch of styles, and this is where it decides uh, on the what styles to apply. Let's try to find this has value thing. Okay, here we use it. So just if you're not very familiar with this syntax, so this is the styled so this is the CSS and JS solution. So we write uh, a React component, something that looks like a React component, but we write styles inside. So this is like a valid CSS, and it get injected into the document at runtime. So okay, it's slightly more complicated, but it's a runtime code that, um, as you see, we can use functions here to decide what things to apply and what not. Um, and this is the logic. So you see, we add some style if p has a value, or if p has a value. P means property has value exists, so it's true. Or this thing has a placeholder. This is also when we put the label on top. And you see, this is if one or another holds true, then we use this active box position uh, function, and this active box position function, uh, yeah, it sets where to the label should be, and some extra things. So I don't think the styles matter that much here. So there are two ways how I want to approach it, and at least what I have in mind. So one thing we can do, one thing we can investigate, and um, that in cases of uncontrolled input, okay, this thing do not work, obviously. Um, and because the value that are, so in the uncontrolled thing, the value is usually not passed or passed only once. So we have to look at the HTML component if value do not exist. And then we derive whether the value uh, is set in the HTML, but not via the props. So that's one of the approaches we can use. And I'm also thinking whether, so here's the effect that reacts to the changes of the value prop for the input. And this is where we can start kind of trying to fix the issue. For example, having a ref passed to the input and also checking the value there. Or what I thought about, so this is the one that probably will add way more complexity than it is needed. So, but this is one of the kind of obvious solution, and probably will find a way how to make it work. Another solution, which I think way better and worth investigating, is actually trying to solve this CSS only way. So trying to understand whether the value of the input is set to some value value set or not, and using pure CSS properties understand and that and move it mm, move the label to the up or to the middle of the input if needed. So that's the thing. So how I want to approach this? Uh, so to begin with, I'm thinking that we can investigate a bit this sandbox. So I'm gonna split my screen into two. I'm gonna bring my uh, DevTools, and I'll start poking the input. So let's try to find uh, the way. Let's try to find how or whether we can get a select there or not. So now we have the value there, but what I see is the value is not here in the input itself, which is weird because it is rendered. So what I'll try is bring the console. Okay. So I'm not sure if you know this trick, so maybe that will be useful. If you have a selected node in the inspector, I'm using Firefox, but in Chrome it works exactly the same. So this selected node, it is accessible via the console through this $0 sign. So you see, so I can start seeing what's going on here. So the value, it is there. Um, I'm just not sure why it is not rendered here in the HTML, but yeah, the value is there. So what we can do, can we say, so just to, yeah, see, if we can, so I'll move the document now. So if I do query selector and input, do I get this one? Yeah, I get. And if I try to do this by the attribute is not empty, how I'm not sure how this all works. So we're gonna look together. So yeah, I'm quite bad in this. So I'll start looking at the documentation. And I usually use this docs dash. That's the way I name it. So CSS selectors, that's what I need, and what I want is to have attribute selector documentation. So why I use dash? It just first offline, second it's yeah, mainly offline, and you download the whole MDN and everything that you want. So and then you get access to it blazingly fast. So comparing to I would open the browser, I would type to Google search something like MDN, whatever CSS select, then I click. Here I can do a lot of hotkeys to move around, or also I don't know, like the way it works. So what do we want? We want to get this input value, and if it's not empty, as assign something, some CSS styles. So I'm looking at the represent an element with an attribute name of its white space separately stored, exactly value. So what I want is to check that value is not set or something like that. Um, okay, let's see. See, um, yeah, folks, if you're watching me and Brazil or Croatia will score, please let me know. I want to know who goes to the semifinals. Uh, represents elements at least one occurrence of the values, suffix, followed, or preceded. So this is the those ones with the, I don't even know how to call it. I used to call it hat, but I bet there is another name. Um, represent. Okay, if we do just a value, we have nothing. Represents elements with an attribute name. Okay. It's hard to read something thoroughly at the stream. I don't know. For me, that's crazy sometimes. Query selectoral. So the value is not here, they say. Um, but how do you say not? Okay, fuck. that was easy. Not value. So okay, that was easy. But the value is there, so that's what I don't understand. So technically, this selector works, uh, but how come the value is there? Maybe that's because it's a fancy React thing. So imagine if I do this value 1 to 3, and now I do not value null, and if I use value, it is there. Okay. Okay. So we have something at least. So if the value is set, if it's visible in the HTML, we get this. Okay. Why we are not having it here? Okay, that's the moment where we have to run the def. I hope it is def. Let's see, package JSON scripts. What do I have here? No, it's npm start. Start. Okay, it takes quite a while to get to render something. Yeah, and let's hope it works. So I think it also have some issues with the Node crypto, which has changed in Node 18, and Gatsby we use is not um, kind of supported anymore or something. So maybe I'll have to have to switch to Node 16. But I like where we are heading. So let me switch to this. Boom, 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 boom. What do I need? I need to do sudo and 16 password. Okay, let me type my password. No. Okay. All good. Okay, let's try to start again. Mm-hmm. Okay, now it crashes somewhere with the GraphQL, but looks well, looks good. Okay, so technically we pass the value here. So we see we use rest, which is everything apart from label, unchanged, size, provided ID, variant, uh, minus margins, minus class names, like margins, widths, and class name. So in REST, we should have the value if it exists. So if it's passed. Oh, come on, can't resolve query string. Okay, I'll have to drop the docz cache, and we built everything again. I don't know why, but all those document generation, document websites for documentation, it's very fragile. It's like you do something, it breaks. You update something, it breaks. Maybe I just bad at those things, but can be. All right. So we pass this to the boxed input if it exists. If it doesn't, so technically, I think it should also set the value if it's there. Why we don't see it? The hell, query string. Try to use package. Query string is installed. The hell. Okay, dropping extra dependencies just to make the playground working. But okay, what we can do already. So obviously this thing doesn't work, or works, but for has value, it works only partially. So what I want to do is let's make it work for has value even, or for the placeholder, even without the this thing. So how we can do this? How we can do this? Let me also ping Lena. Maybe she's around. No. Alrighty. Okay. Hopefully it will build everything. But for me, the important part is, okay, boxed input, and if we have the current input and the label, this is what we apply to the label. What if we do this? If we have the current input plus the label, boxed input label, which has a value. So this is this thing, active box position, works. We use this in the case where the placeholder or value exists. Otherwise, we don't do we don't do anything. Alrighty. So and this thing has a value attribute. I think this should be like that. Then we call this active box. So for a while, I'm gonna comment this out. I'm wondering how do you comment out things in this current setup. Um, so this one goes here, and Jesus Christ, I'm lost in the. So let's comment this out. Okay, and return undefined. Undefined. Okay, we can leave, I think, with this. Okay, we're done. Let's take a look at the localhost 3000 that please work. Okay, yeah, we are there. Input. Let's make it bigger for you. Let's open the that's going on here. Okay. So this still works by some miracle. But the one that I want to see is the one with the value. So this is the one or not. Let's create one example for ourselves and then we see. So the document, controlled input, let's see, example, this is the one that we have. So let's do just input and variant boxed. And that's it. Let's see what we're gonna have here. So it should refresh. Oh, okay, it crashed. Probably because we need to wrap it into something. No. Okay. Should be better. Why? Wait. Icons input. Okay, enable plugin that supports MDX. Okay, next time. Okay, let's hope we'll see something. Because if we don't, that's going to be another story. Okay. We are refreshing. We are here. We have this. This is our input. I forgot the label, which we can fix. Fancy label. Label. Okay. And if we put something, it goes up. If we remove it, it doesn't work. I'm wondering how this magic happens. Okay, let's take a look at the components. Here it's, I think, more obvious. Has value undefined. Sorry if it's, so badly, it's not accessible a lot because there is no way to set the size of the font. So sorry, it's quite small. But what I see here is that, okay, the value is missing, has undefined is undefined. That's kind of clear, no? And this is it. here, if we do the input, 0 value, it returns us the value. Okay, for me, it looks unusual. I had a suspicion. I don't know. I lived in the world where if you use uncontrolled input, it fills in the value. Maybe it's just an imaginary world I'm living in. So let's double check whether it's true or not. I'm gonna create just a vanilla. Let's do HTML. Here I'm gonna do an input. I'm gonna create an input, type text, and that's it. So we should see it. And if I select this input and type in things, okay, it doesn't work. Cool. So at least today I learned that if you do this, and actually the value does not, so it's not the attribute that's being added, but you still can read it. So it's kind of hidden thing. So that gives us the situation that when we use this input, we cannot rely on the selector of the value here, which is sad, and because the attribute do not exist. So what can we do? Let's think about, again, CS selectors. Maybe I don't know. I haven't. I want to believe that this thing can be done in the way like we do a visited, like pseudo classes. Okay, pseudo elements for sure won't have anything useful. At least I have zero clue. Pseudo classes, maybe they are they're gonna help us. So we have disabled, we have read write, we have placeholder shown, which is a good one. We have default, we have checked, we have blank, we have valid, invalid, blah, 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 required, optional, user invalid. So those are input pseudo classes. So not super helpful. Enable, disabled, read only, read write, placeholder shown. So we can migrate off the placeholder, checked, default, intermediate state, God knows. Matches the user input, which is empty, containing an empty string or other null input. Maybe we can go with this blank, not blank, something like that. This would be our chance. We can try this. Okay, with links, not. Time dimensional, no. Root structure, no. Action, no. Functional. Okay, no. Alphabetic index. Is there something like value? Has value, value. Okay, no. Root light, right required. Let's take a look at blank. I don't know. I have the impression that we can achieve something here. And then we can, of course, check how blank is blank. Okay, so now, okay, see the experiment. Not gonna do this. No, yeah, not supported. Bad, very, very bad. All right, so 45 minutes without any progress on that. Okay, so it looks like there is, yeah, I can see only one way to check this by going through the reference and checking if the value is there and use it together with the properties that we receive. Or maybe, okay, let's ask Almighty Google CSS select input with value. Is it possible to use an input value attribute as a CSS selector? Uh, 2012 May. Okay, let's hope. Um, but no. Okay, this is the uh, thing that we already kind of managed to discover altogether. So thank you, person from 2012. Um, how to select text input field using CSS selector. CSS attribute selector is used to targeting an input text field. The input text field, yeah. How to select input by type and name using CSS. Um, not helpful. Not helpful. Um, okay, how to match input and select styles with CSS. This is the one. Maybe I would like to apply a special style to all inputs in my form that are required and empty and that. Um, okay. If you don't have an alt, you can get placeholder attribute on your input to something and use placeholder shown to target that input. Thank you. Yeah. So looks like apart from all those hacky ways, there is no way. At least, okay. Or it's not the thoroughest search I ever done, but the search, um, 50 minutes, we learned, I think, quite a lot about the way things works in the HTML. Um, so maybe I can reflect on it later on. So our first assumption that we can use it with CSS only, at least at the moment, it looks like something that is not achievable, since we cannot target input an input that has zero, whose value is empty. I'm thinking. I think I've written a wrong CSS style here because I don't want to target the label. I want to target the input. So this should be our selector. Let's try. Um, let's see. Value is empty. So just to see, and I'm gonna do background color red just to see if this actually works. I bet it doesn't. Um, it did work, but here for the base, because initial value is set to an empty string. You see here we are targeting that. But this one without an attribute doesn't work. All right. And then if we even do like a query selector input, and here what we can do is not value, we can select this thing, but we want to see if the value is there. So that's the trick. So technically, if I start typing, what I expect this to be red. No, not gonna happen. Bad. So the end, same result. Yeah. So you see the value attribute is not here, but the value uh, is there. Just it is not reflected to the in the HTML. So that's our, I think, our diagnosis at the moment. So this thing, even if we go something like not value empty or something like that. So let's say if I do this, the red thing, the right input should become red. No, not. I think it has the different hugs. Where is it? Ah, this is the input. It has a different class. Uh-huh. Okay, so let's do this. And this not value. So it does not have any value attribute. Now it should be red. At least what I expect, yeah. And the thing is, it's not that it's red only when the value is not there. The value is never there. So that's unsolvable. That's unsolvable. So I would say not possible with CSS to target an element which has value and another one which is empty, because the value itself that we use, especially in the uncontrolled way, it is not passed to it is not kind of rendered to the HTML. So that's the result. And the way I see it now, it's okay. We have then to make it working, we have to derive this has value correctly. And to derive this correctly, what we need to do is take a look, go back to the our initial base input. No, even further to our inner input. So this is where the has value is used. And what we want is before. So let's do like a quick zoom out how things worked before. So and or how they work now. So we usually, so the input is controlled. So that means we are passing value and how to change the value when users start typing. And that means we receive through the props the value. And we use this value received from the props to understand whether the value is set or not. And if the value is set, we're lifting the label to the top of the input. If it's not set, we're putting this label to the bottom. So the way we have it here, see, it's on the top. If I remove it and I remove the placeholder, which sits there, it goes to the bottom. Here it goes to the top, remove, goes to the bottom, because we're passing values, value through the React. This thing is uncontrolled, so meaning that if I do label fancy and then I start typing, and this typing is HTML, like plain browser functionality. That means there are no React props that we can use to get the values here. So then if we remove the focus, it goes down. Okay. So that's so to fix this, we need to start detecting those things. We need to start changing the has value property, has value state variable, when the component, not the component, the HTML input is also there. No, is also change the value. So here, what we can do, input wrapper uses our reference. We're gonna use our own reference. I think that's try to do this. const ref. Use ref. Oh, it's been a while since I used ref. So I hope, let's say input ref. Do we use ref for the one that we have around? Oh no, it's okay. It's only for the for those who want to start touching our dome. And so here, what we do, we pass this ref here, input ref. What's wrong? Okay, looks like at some point we'll start diving into this component props without ref. Why I want ref? Omit component props. Let's do this. Maybe this will do the trick, but it's not. Yeah, it did. So now when I have the input ref, so we can get access to the HTML. But when do we want to do this? When we use state, probably. If ref value, let's do this, and ref or ref current value, do this, input ref current object is possible and defined. Okay. HTML input element. Okay, now his value started to do something weird. Value, what we want to check, value is not empty, so that meaning that it should be a string, length more than 0, and or if it's not, then false. Okay, quite a stupid setup, but we'll see. But this will be only the initial thing. So technically it won't solve the... Okay, now I think this, at least, okay, we need to fix the documentation to add the label here. Fancy label. But it shouldn't break what already exists. So that would, that is the expected thing. Okay, placeholders removed and it works. Label, fancy. We do this here. So at the moment, no effect, which is expected. What I want to do here, I think every render we want to check, because we cannot really check on the use effect, because a reference do not have, is out of the React lifecycle. That means we are not getting notified when the change happens. Where we can get notified is thinking that, okay, let's do this. I would go console log input ref current, and we'll see. But the idea is when we start typing, we maybe re-render. Now I'm not quite sure. Pretty low level stuff we're doing here. And no, we're not re-rendering. But we do re-render later. And we have this access to things. Okay, let's just try it out like this and see. And also do the console log. Ref this. Okay, ref is false, the first render. Okay, if I start typing, noise, and then I remove the focus, which, yeah, doesn't change a thing. I mean, it does, but okay. I think I'm lacking of knowledge of the ref. Or maybe what I need to do. So what happens here? If I do, okay, let's do just out of curiosity on blur. What we want is to handle blur, but we'll have to wrap it around later on. But for the moment, what if we do this set has value, and then we check those things. Ref, this is the thing. Because technically, what I think, so what's the idea? That the input ref will change anyways, whether it's an input provided through the props or input without any props. So it should work at least on the blur side of things. And I would say, okay, it crashed. Why? Index is not allowed? What? Okay. So let's hope this will give us some clue. Okay. Some Cyrillic, but it works. It works. Here, if we remove the placeholder and type, it works. What is the issue here? If I do this and type, no, it actually works unexpectedly. What can go wrong here? What can go wrong? So technically nothing. I'm thinking, what is the moment when we need to fix it? It's exactly the moment when we remove the blur. Or I'm thinking maybe the blur is one of the things that we can do, but I also can do this in handle change, meaning that If the change happens, do this. And technically, it should do the trick. It should. That would be quite funny, you know? Here. Okay. Is it solved? It is. If I add value here right away, hello, then it doesn't work. Because the ref is not attached yet. And but the value is supposed to be here, no? Value. Okay. So what we see. Yeah, I'm interested in only one input. That's the tricky part of the solution. Yay. Hello, hello.
Hello, hello. So, how are you doing? What's up?
Quite badly, to be honest. I can give you a clue. So I think I found a solution, not the greatest one. But so my initial idea was that I can do this only with CSS, but it didn't work.
Could you bring me up to speed? So, the problem was that when the input is uncontrolled, yeah,
Yep.
what was it? I kind of don't remember.
Okay, jumping back to the. So when the input was uncontrolled, you could do whatever. You
Yeah.
remove the focus
Yeah,
and
right.
the label goes down. So the issue is you can see the screen, no?
Yeah, I do. It's like it's stateful. It has values, set has value,
Exactly.
and
And it reads the value from the properties. So my initial attempt was so this has value is later passed to the styled component, which has a very fancy logic here where it applies. So it checks whether the value exists or the placeholder, and if one of them is in place, it adds the label. The label it uh, moves the label to the top. So my idea was that probably I can select an input if there is a value inside. So only in this case I want to select an input. But surprise, surprise, it doesn't work this way in HTML.
So were you going to just look at the attribute using CSS or what?
Yeah, that was the idea, that I can do something like value.
Yeah, and it doesn't work.
Yeah, because the
That's a
whole
shame.
idea. So I'll show you the thing. So when you do this, so you have fancy label. This is the input that we render. And if you type anything inside, so the attribute do not appear. So, but the value is there. So if you select an DOM node and do the value will be there. So
I see.
but it is not reflected in the HTML. I think in HTML they reflect only what user typed or React rendered or whatever. So there is the values in the internal state. So hence we cannot really select because there is no such attribute. So yeah, it took me. I thought it's maybe like React doing crooked things. I did the sandbox with plain vanilla HTML. It actually behaves exactly the same. So yeah, sometimes I feel like I'm first day in this
I mean, how
in this world.
often do you work with HTML inputs? Like
Yeah, not
maybe,
very
you
often.
know, yeah, once
Uh,
a year.
and so my current idea is we just create a reference, pass it to the input, and we do the kind of the same logic that we have. I see my. I know I'm not frozen. All good. So and when the change happens, we check the reference and set has value based on the reference.
Yeah, that should work.
So technically, I think that also implies that we don't. Yeah, we will work both in the controlled and uncontrolled state here, as you see. Um, but mm, what doesn't work at the moment is, so imagine I want to set the value here. So this is where I
Ah,
stopped.
okay. How about not doing this, not on change? How about adding an effect?
An effect on what?
Oh, okay. Let me think about it for 1 minute. Hmm.
I would love to avoid
So,
effects is possible if possible.
yeah,
Yes.
sure, but it kinda is an effect, right?
Yeah, but we
Mm,
have, so for me, this is the surprising part. So you see, we have an effect which checks the value, and if the value changes, so we are running this. So the question is like, what the fuck? I'm passing value here to the input. Why set has value is not triggered? Maybe it is triggered. This is what
it
I'm.
should.
Yeah. So alt
Yes,
plain
console.
console log value rest value. Let me change the example. So we'll do value hello world and hope nothing will break. So hello world is here. Value is here.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm. I think I know why. So I added this input, and it's either this one or this one. But no, if it's this one is true, should be good. No.
But it's like the initial, it will be initiated on the first render only, right? The
Yeah.
state.
Yeah.
Um,
Then we're on. So,
if we have an effect, we kind of don't need that initial value anymore.
yeah. Yeah. That's true. So this one can go. Uh,
And yeah, this one also.
which one? This
I
one?
mean, you can just use state false and then fill it in the effect. No, because we should not only check the rest value, we should also check the reference. Uh-huh.
But here there is no reference
Yeah,
because
and it won't run because the reference is not stateful. Like it's just a
Mhm.
reference, and if the input is changed, uh,
Yeah, that's why I put this has value here. So technically, it should be okay. We're doing maybe extra work here, setting this has value, because on change can set the state passes the prop value, and then we run the effect. But this is what I don't understand. You see, it's and it is true. So it has. So let's take a look. How components. Fuck, this is super small. Boxed input, not this one. Wait.
Has value is string or not?
Has value false here. What the hell? How come? Value hello world true. So that's the call here. Why? Where do we set as value? Only here.
Okay, so two possible reasons. Something sets it to false somewhere. Second reason, there is a problem inside the input, maybe.
No, this input is just a style component, so there is nothing. No
so
logic.
It's like stupid. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So, I mean, the main culprit is that we set has value somehow, whether it's an initial. Okay, let's do this. So there are only 3 points where we run it. No.
Yeah.
Initial state, handle change, and use effect. Use effect,
Yeah.
it's true.
Yeah.
And this thing, I mean,
it should
if
be
it's
true
a prop,
also.
it should be true.
Yeah.
And this
So
one is not.
How about we comment it out and see the handle change
What?
part.
Let's do this.
The set has value. Yeah.
No. No.
What the hell?
Log this component data to the console. Click to open. Oh, did you know that? What you can do?
No, wow.
It doesn't help.
That's nice. That's neat. Has value false.
Source rendered by. Okay, we can do profiler, but it's just pain in the ass now to find something here. Let's try. To be honest, last time I profiled was quite a while ago. So that was the blue one is the record. The hell. Okay, it doesn't work the way I thought it works. Alrighty, so let's do one by one then. So let's put this to true.
Okay.
I think this will do the trick.
It better work. It doesn't, or it does?
No, it doesn't.
So maybe it's not a logic problem.
Has value. Wait, box input at what we pass. So this is false. Input wrapper. And this is a styled component. Anonymous forward draft. Value is here. By the way, why do we need an effect at all here? I'm thinking. Why do we need has value? We don't need to keep it. We can derive it now from the props. So meaning this, if it's controlled, there should be a value prop, and it changes every So
on every change.
every
yeah.
time something changes, we re-render the whole input, no?
Yeah, and if it's
Why do we need the
uncontrolled.
state? Well, yeah, why do we need the state? Okay, so it's like, okay, we somebody changed another prop, no? But we re-render, yeah, the state won't run. Okay. I'm thinking like whether it makes sense to do this whole fancy thing, it just with effects and stuff, or we can just do like a plain every time compare the prop, compare the value prop without all this fancy use effects. Because in the control state we will re-render everything. In uncontrolled state, yeah, just okay, just a stupid thing I want to check. Not maybe like this. Maybe more like this. Why do we need to string? Okay.
Yeah, I was kind of embarrassed to ask.
Because the value can be undefined. I think that's the whole story, no?
It can also be a number, that's why. Okay.
Okay.
I mean, look at your condition at boxed input. It has value is equals has value and input ref current value length. Maybe it should be or we should just drop the whole.
Fuck, that was the whole story.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay. All right. So should we return back all this set has value things?
Let's maybe try to deal without it and see.
Because, okay, what can go wrong at all here? So what can go wrong? We are changing an ID, and that triggers our fancy has value check to rerun every time. It's like, do we care that much of that?
We probably don't, but will it work even if the input is uncontrolled?
Yeah, because we check in input ref here. I think this won't work in the case where no, it won't work at all because the value is here. But this thing won't work.
Yeah.
Because we are not re-rendering anything. As this is where the has value kind of was used.
So I guess we should put the state back because we need to render.
Yeah, then it goes like this. No, I'm gonna replace the fancy things. Then to string already, we don't need any question marks.
I think we can drop the use effect, no? And just leave it in the on change.
Yeah. But what can go wrong here? If we remove the use effect, then I change the value prop in the component, but it won't re-render. It won't change the internal state here.
Yeah.
So I think if we go the state variables, we have to go the effect here.
So we kind of need an effect, and also we need this.
Yeah.
Oh, that's ugly.
True. I mean, the whole all those basic components, they are usually the ugliest.
Yeah, I've noticed that. It's all, and you know, when you start writing a library, it's always like so neat and cute, and then it just has
Yeah, and
like the
then you see,
cancer.
yeah. It get like you start extracting random shit and fixing. I had to do this fix component props because before there was component props without reference, and it's
Oh,
yeah. It also why it uses different. So okay, but let's take a look. I wonder what's going on with the spacings here. Here it's like there are two.
yeah.
So that's I think my
And
setup.
you know,
Uh,
like 2 is so much cuter than 4. Just saying.
no, um, I'm a bit sick of checking this rest value to whatever so many times. Uh, but whatever. Um, fuck. Mm, you know what I? Yeah. Okay. So here we just set has value. So this is so in the uncontrolled state, we will do like an extra layer of things. So it's I think, but what if I think that's what the only thing we can do. Um, because the moment you start adding value here, like we do have here, you cannot change anything because it becomes a control thing. So the
Yeah.
moment you add value, meaning that this will work, this will work.
Yes. Yes.
And if I add placeholder here, this should also work.
With placeholder, it used to work before because,
Okay.
you know, the label just stayed up.
Noise. Nice. Yeah, I mean,
I wish
I'm
it was less ugly though, you know? Like, maybe we should do something about it. Like, move it to a hook, just, you know, hide your sins.
by the way, we need to pass this stuff further down um, as well.
Ew. Oh, we should at least put it into a variable.
Hmm. Yeah. How do you call it? Uh, final has value.
No, 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 no. Okay, so let's have a has controlled value and has uncontrolled value. Maybe something like this.
Yeah, can do. Uh, then we do this has uncontrolled value. Smart.
And it kind of also explains what the hell is going on here, you know, for future.
And this one has controlled. See, the WebStorm became super smart. It even
Yeah,
renames the
yeah,
setter. Fuck.
I love it.
Okay, set. And this one will stay, I think, because we want to check this at the moment.
Yeah.
But then it's strange that we're setting
Oh, by
that
the
has
way,
control value.
why don't you, yeah, it's, oh, that's ugly. Okay, why don't you look at the event target value in the handler?
Hmm. Yeah.
That makes more sense, no?
Yeah.
Uh, Length stuff, right?
Unsafe access to target I think
Yeah,
it should be
because you
typed.
haven't typed a handler.
Jesus Christ.
Isn't it form change something like
React, yeah. React, at least that's the way we do this.
yes,
event.
change event. Beautiful. It doesn't even
HTML.
need, or does it? Yeah. Now it's just a typing issue. It should be Boolean.
All right. So length. Oh. But then it's not really has controlled value.
Yes, that I see.
But yeah, I'm thinking input ref. Do you think we can do this if we start setting this has controlled value? It's not gonna
yeah, maybe we
help.
can just omit it, like maybe we don't need the reference at all.
Controlled. No, we need it because in the uncontrolled state, this is the only way to get to understand whether there is some input or not. I'm thinking whether we need the props. Do we need this? Because at the end, what we render will end up in the input reference. And the only moment where we need to understand whether the rest value exists isn't during the first render or not. Oh no. Then if value prop changes, it will be reflected in the input. No, I think we still need the to read it at least. So I'm thinking, what? Just out trying some ideas. No, because here we need state. It's
Yes.
All right. Let's leave it ugly then. I mean, not uglier than it was.
Sure.
If you think about hooks, so imagine we extract it to the hook. What is the hook behavior?
It just returns, the value, the has value variable,
And what
it
do you
hides.
couple it with? So just
Use
kind of
value detection. Let's call it like that.
use value
Spy. Let's call it spy.
whatever. So what it should return, because to
Has
spy
value.
you need, but it's not enough, no, because we have to pass a rest value here
And input ref.
and input ref. But so, and what we're gonna do inside? So we move this use effect to this hook, and handle change. We still need to have it here. No, the
Random thought. And where do you use input ref?
In the input.
So the reference that's forwarded, it goes into the wrapper, input wrapper, and okay, it's
by the way,
why there are two.
Yeah, it's actually a good discussion, because I think there was an idea of, there was a bug or a discussion that maybe we should move refs to some components that make sense. Cannot add refs to the text area. Make ref to point correct elements. That was the idea. Of is attached to the wrapper.
Yeah, you can't expect it to be attached to the input itself.
Exactly. But the thing is, it will break um, the API. So if somebody uses the
Yeah.
ref, the new version kills it. So it's a breaking
Well, that's
change.
yeah.
But yeah, so imagine this use spy, whatever we name it. So it returns us has how it works inside. So okay, just to I don't think it will it worth doing this, but let's try to draft it at least. Ref uh, and so inside we move this uh, has value.
Yeah.
We move uh,
That has controlled value.
as I understand this. Mm, to ref. Then we move this and
Okay, so we also need to expose the setter, right? Because we need to call it on change.
the fuck ref.
Let's type it so it shuts up.
Whatever. So what is so here? I understand we do has value, and here has value.
Yes.
Um, but then this thing,
Yeah, we need to expose the setter also. Like we need to return not only the value from the hook, but
do you think, or should we do like a on change kind of
yeah.
thing?
Um, I mean, I would expect that on change changes the value itself. So
But then we leaking the logic, so that's the story. Uh,
but
on
we
change
also
spy.
no on value change maybe.
uh, and then you do this, no?
Yes. Yes, we do read the chat, by the way. Just, you know.
Or change value. Uh, but then we leak. I think we leak the whole idea of like we are automatically spying for the value. So we can expose the set, and then we do set. But then what the fuck? What this hook is doing? Like it only partially does some fancy stuff. No.
Yeah.
Uh, I would say that the best way I see it's like uh, check uh, value change, something like that, and you do the event.
Yeah, maybe.
But then event also stupid. It's like the value then should be there, no? The value.
Yeah.
Okay. And this makes more sense a bit.
I agree.
Uh, use value spy. Spy sounds very test, no?
Uh, mhm. Okay,
Detect
that's like
detect value change. No, it detects whether the value exists or not. So use
fuck. That's like you know the most
yeah.
complex stuff.
No.
Oh,
Use
that's
value
too
change
long.
detector.
Hell.
Observer. But we do not
Okay,
observe.
okay. We observe only if it exists or not.
Yeah, we actually checking only existence. Yeah.
Existence. Wow,
Uh,
that's deep.
okay, whatever. Let's do spy. I
See,
agree.
see.
Uh, but then, okay, check value change. We will have. I'm thinking whether we are making things complicated or not.
We
Uh,
are. We kind of are. That's
yeah.
true.
So
But
let's
we
go
are
back.
also, yeah. I mean, it was going to be a use callback to wrap up, the thing where we get the event target and we like check if the value is long enough.
Yeah, but I like the idea that we try. So it's like when on my kitchen course, uh, the my professor says that in kitchen there is no place for lazy people. I think, yeah, it's nice to try to be not lazy in programming as well and check things.
Yeah. Now it
So
should
then
not be. Yeah. It's not control. It's not about the control value, but ew.
mhm, has value, but at least this is clear that okay, we're checking at least value, no. Mm,
Mm-hmm.
because we cannot. So if we run this setter here, that would be stupid. No, yeah. If we do set has value, which technically, okay, we buying like we taking extra render once, but okay. So anyways, doesn't sound right. All right, let's try to run tests because I think that's also. I thought about like okay, how can I write a test that actually checks this behavior, and because it's kind of tricky now because it's not a state or something yet you can easily check. Alrighty, so all green.
You didn't write the test yet, right?
Because I have no clue what to write, to be honest.
Mm.
Do you have an idea how this test should look like? Because for me this is unclear. So technically we can take a look whether this thing is inside the input, but it is inside the input anyways. So even if it's lifted, we can check
I
if the style
guess.
is applied.
Yeah, probably. I feel like the uh, how is it called in English? Jesus. The visual tests would be appropriate in this case, but I
Mhm.
guess you don't have any here.
Yeah.
So
It's like a very uh, old discussion, like that we need to add them, but it takes nobody invested time enough to make it real. So we have like snapshots which are mostly not useful. Mm. But it's also like check-in styles, also kind of the implementation details.
yeah,
So
it's like leaking.
okay, what about not doing the tests?
I mean, if you can't write a good test, it's better to not write anything at all.
Yeah, agree. By the way, what the
Because
it was not here before, I think. Maybe it's I see a line here in the input.
yeah, I've noticed it also, but I kind of assumed it's the way it should be.
Wait, now it is
And
not
also, when you zoom in, it sometimes disappears.
here. Okay, yeah, I see. This is I think this is the shadow, because this is
Yeah, probably.
Okay. Fucking input. And here it's also, yeah, it is. Yeah, I think that's the shadow.
And now the and maybe that label should have a background to hide it.
I think
Or is it also
does.
tricky?
It has the background.
It's a why is it a gradient?
Because of this. I think, okay, if we do just white.
Look how beautiful, how clear.
Yeah, it's a question why it's a gradient. Why it's a gradient?
Maybe so it works on different. How about we change the background of the input wrapper and see how it looks if it's not on white, you know. I like red, just saying.
Wait, the background, the input wrapper or the playground itself?
Yeah, the playground probably.
Okay. I'm not sure it works now. Probably it's somewhere here. Here we go.
Yep, this one. See? And what if we put it
that's
as a
why.
gradient? That's why.
That's the gradient.
But it's still ugly.
But I think that's the story about the border, no? When we remove the border?
Probably.
Yeah, I remember there was this long discussion that it's kind of hard, but since it's like a very tiny thing, that was the decision. Maybe not the greatest one. But anyway, so do you think it's good enough? So with this bug at least?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, then let's commit. So double check what we're doing here. So useRef appeared, input ref. So I think it should be to do replace with ref. Jesus, what the hell?
Oh no.
Okay, replace with the ref when implementing okay. So what we did, rest value to string length. Also thinking if you do undefined to string,
It's undefined, but a string, right? Let's check.
Yeah, but is it possible to pass an undefined? I think it's not. No, in the React, if you do undefined, it is a string undefined, which is okay. But if you do this, it's just the prop is not passed. So
I
it should
kind
be
of don't see what you're typing because our lovely faces are just.
yeah. All right. Here. So what I did.
I mean, it's legal.
Yeah.
Why not?
But that means the value won't be passed, at least to my understanding. Because that's what we do.
Yeah.
If you do not null or undefined, it just, if you do false, this is going to be the value, which is also all right. I think it's all good. Maybe I'm mistaken. Maybe to string is a bad idea, but it was here before us. I mean, what are other options we have? We can check whether it's a type of string or number and convert, but this is why we have TypeScript here as well. It's like if you pass not string, if you pass a false, it should say or something. No.
And where are the types for this stuff? It just extends the normal input properties or not?
Yeah, so it's a wrapper with input wrapper props, which is like class name margins width, and
Yeah.
input props, which are all the basic input props, all the HTML input props.
Yeah, and that's string number or whatever.
String number. This is, I think it's in the value here. I bet. TypeScript. Jesus Christ.
Wow.
What's going
I
on?
have motion
It
sickness.
just, yeah, because I'm not sure what happens. Okay, the type
Value
value.
string.
Yep. And then it should be somewhere
I
here.
mean, okay.
Y takes input props. Yeah, looks strange. Input wrapper props plus input props. Input wrapper props, nothing related to that. But yeah, that's a good question. Why the value works the way it works. Okay, here are the props. So maybe we break something here in the extract props. No, we just omit what it was passed. So they should be good. Rest props. Pick. Not possible to read. So rest value. Input HTML attributes. Okay, who are we to go against React input HTML attributes?
I mean, the array of strings.
Yeah, that's quite
What the hell?
questionable. Can you? Let's do an experiment. You see, you can.
Mind blown.
Okay, here we won't see anything because it's a controlled input and it controls the value. All right. Okay, so let's think about it next time. I was trying to review the changes, not the. Okay, so we're passing input ref. We're checking whether the uncontrolled value exists. I like the naming, actually. It helps to understand. And
And do you think that if we have another variant, we'll have to copy paste that again, like has value or has uncontrolled value all over again?
so technically, yes, but we want to remove this bottom line input because it's not used
Mhm.
at all. So ideally, we will remove this logic rather than adding. This is actually deprecated in the modern TypeScript, I think. Default props. Okay, this is one thing. I'm not gonna add this to the playground, I think. Or maybe we can add it without the value. Jesus Christ. So like this. Uncontrolled input. Variant not needed or needed. Sure. Okay.
Isn't it default?
Yeah, I think it should be a default one.
Yeah, I've never used it consciously.
Yeah, it's an empty one, default one. And input props has changed from.
What?
Okay, I'm thinking because we are saying that input props now can contain ref, and the input wrapper props can contain ref. Oh, no, it cannot. Or it can. Forward ref. So I'm thinking here we saying it can have a reference, and then we also get in another reference. But since
Where do
TypeScript is all right.
where do we say that input props has a reference?
So forward draft, this is what I think it
Yeah,
means.
yeah, okay.
So we're saying like, okay, user can pass a reference and we attach it to the diff element. So this is why we have this ref here.
Yeah.
But then input props, we're also saying like, yeah, you can pass a reference. So I'm just, okay, let's do this.
Really?
Yeah. Because
So
otherwise I could not pass to the boxed input the reference. See, it also, it's has internal input component props. So that's where it used the, wait, then, so we should go here back and now I'm thinking, okay, if it was like this, where the hell the reference is here? Props with ref. This is where it adds it. Oof. Sounds starts looking like a magic. Props with ref. No. Yeah, let's not dive this way. I'm afraid. What if I do this? Ref optional. Is it React
I
ref?
think you cannot do that.
No.
You are breaking the laws of React.
Okay.
That ref is not a real prop.
Why it is? No.
That's why
So
you need ref forwarding. You can just pass it. It's not in the props structure.
So I'm thinking if I do this now, imagine we have ref here. For example, we are doing this. Const ref, use ref, whatever. I don't know why we want it, but if we do this, and we're saying this is the one.
For the div.
Okay, it actually works.
Yeah.
All right. And then we're good to go. Input spec. But wait, I removed this. Fuck. Input props component without ref. So this should be component with ref. Now we do the test. So still works. Okay. Then who am I to say all right, commit again component to the ref, input, here the example, and here the change, just to make it one last check.
Beautiful. Amazing.
Perfect. All right. Here, I think I did some extra stuff which was not needed. Fix. What do we say? Change label position in.
I somehow formulated it already when I opened an issue. Maybe we can take it from there.
Let's do this.
Label of uncontrolled input covers the field text.
But this is what, not the action we did, no? Okay, or you want to do this?
Fixed the uncontrolled inputs label position, maybe? Uncontrolled label?
Okay. Warning. Do you have this enabled or no?
Yes. Yes, of course.
Yeah.
I have everything enabled. The spell check, the input shortener, you name it.
But here we don't want to, so that's the idea of we're using direct, because there is indeed in hooks, there is an index TS, but we don't want to.
Why is it there then?
For the external use, I think that's the idea. But we need to review all those things because I haven't checked, but 100% it's not tree shakeable, and we import every piece of the library, no matter what we actually use. So this is for the new, like for the version 2. Yeah, something we need to take a look at. All right, pull request. Why it's still here since October? Okay. Fix uncontrolled fixes.
Should you just reference the issue?
What? How? I usually prefer to write how because that brings quite a lot of value. How can you explain it? So a reference.
Introduces the state, maybe, that has value state.
But this was before, so it kind of
additional check.
Yeah, checks, adds extra checks of the HTML input node to via use ref to verify that the input. Okay, it's like a lot of words. Add checks by the HTML input value.
Yeah.
By user. Okay, this checklist ready to be merged. Yes. Feel free. Okay. Cool. We're done. So 2 hours to fix a component. How many lines? 14 lines of code.
I mean, we
but
had
it's
fun.
tricky. Yeah, it is. Alrighty. So I'm stop sharing. Here we go. And so I hope to see. I don't know. We can try to fix something else someday.
Yeah,
Maybe.
probably. I think I actually would love to see somebody struggle, with such a trivial thing. So my inner complex, how do you call it?
Imposter syndrome.
Yes, the imposter syndrome. Like everybody struggles with the most trivial stuff. It's like normal, completely. You just don't usually see it.
Yeah, but so that what I did know when I has written the logical and instead of logical or, and I think I spent 15 minutes fixing that. So that's
That's why you
better.
need to
But
set suffice.
yeah, or you can check my previous videos. There is a video when I try to fix type script issue in this library for 1 hour or 1 hour and a half, and I fail miserably.
Wow.
So that's quite an embarrassing thing. But that's, I think, the point of the streams. You kind of spend a lot of time doing stupid stuff, and people can see and think like, okay, everyone struggles. But yeah, okay, that's Friday, and let's go and have our weekend.
You go. I will do my job because I have
Use note.
stuff. Yes, I need to. Okay.
All right. Okay. So have a good working evening then.
Thank you.
And thank you, watchers. See you soon. Bye.
Bye bye.